you watch my video in video number 93 uploaded to YouTube in July 31st. And in that video, I predicted the Tesla fluctuation range is about in this range, and also mentioned that very likely it will fluctuate in this range. It will fluctuate in this range. And then based on this week's performance, it also really fluctuated in this range and then dipped a little bit more. For this kind of fluctuation is about $50 to $60 of a difference. So if you know what I predicted, and then I predicted it will still have an increasing trend in this week, so you will see a higher price, and then it almost reached to this weekly high, and it didn't touch this weekly high because if you change it into monthly chart, it reaches to exactly this resistance yellow trend line. That's a resistance 1 trend line. It exactly touches this. So when it touches this, it then started to drop. So you didn't see exactly it further touches this daily trend line, this yellow trend line or weekly trend line. So it didn't touch this weekly, the yellow trend line and the daily trend line, because it first touches the yellow trend line in that monthly chart. So it's a kind of has more resistance there. So even though you see when it reaches to this high level and started to decrease, so even though you capture this high point, the high, weekly high, or this daily high, and then when it dropped down to this support, and because it's still a little bit the yellow trend line, so the market is kind of a little bit greedy. So you can see it further drops the open low on this Tuesday, and because this is a kind of a support, and then it started to increase the price, and also almost touches this yellow trend line. And then the Wednesday is also start open high a little bit, but when it opened here, it's below this trend line, so it's opened in another lower band. So it fluctuated between these two trend lines. And then on Thursday, when you see on Wednesday, this predicted trend line for the next day is already generated when even before Thursday's market is opened. And then you can see this trend line is started to become a little bit more flat. The increasing momentum becomes lower. So it has another further additional day to fluctuate in this range, and then you can see it still have a flat trend lines. That means the increasing momentum becomes less. And then on Friday is also a kind of fulfill the whole fluctuation in this week. So on Friday you will see it also opened in another lower band. So it opened low, so that means it will have a much stronger decreasing momentum, and then it decreased all the way down to this bottom support trend line on the daily chart. So you can see this on weekly chart, it doesn't exactly fluctuate down to this point, but because on Friday is the last day in that week, so it doesn't have time to continuously drop, but it temporarily dropped to this bottom trend line. So it's a kind of first hit this support, so it it almost temporarily stopped there. So if you look at closely in my prediction in my last video and take advantage of this kind of fluctuation band and the high and the low, even though you capture this high and low, you can still earn a lot of money, because this fluctuation range is almost around $50. So if you take action and correctly, and based on the trend, based on this kind of trend lines. So if you take advantage of those kind of $50 of difference, if you purchase or even short 100 shares, then basically you may have a chance to get to earn $5,000, maybe just in one day or at least in 1 week, or maybe you can do a couple of cycles. So that's just one example. If you check another example for AMC, so in my video number 90 uploaded to YouTube in July 10th, about 3 weeks ago, so I predicted at that time AMC price is about $14.7. I predicted it will have a temporary rebound, and then if you check the last 3 weeks, after my prediction, and in that week following my prediction, it opened here. It also has a big increase, relatively big increase, jumped to here, and then after 1 week, and because it dropped to a relatively higher price trend line, so it dropped down a little bit more, get to this blue support trend line, and it has a big jump during the past week. So today is August 6th, Saturday. So it has a big jump. So even on Friday, and Friday the big increase is about $6. So compared to the price of 14.7 at in video number 90, compare that 14.7 to this the high price of $22.4, so it's about $8 of increase. So compared to this low price stock at 14.7, so $8 of increase is about 155% of the original price when I predicted the AMC stock trend in video number 90. So increase of 54%, that's really a big return, big increase. So for example, if you invest $10,000, then that means you will gain almost like $5,000. So that's just several good examples, and I also summarize some other good examples in some previous videos. So watch more videos in my Uping stock trend prediction channel. Watch more videos and take a look at those kind of trend and do some your homework, and then you will collect more information to earn more money and also reduce risk when you do the trading. So continue to watch this video. You will collect more information and more useful information, so it's good to watch the whole video. So many people will be interested in Tesla stock price when it just show 1 day of sudden decrease. So what's the trend of for the next week of Tesla stock price, for the target high or target low? So here's the prediction and analysis. So based on this Tesla daily chart, this is a Tesla weekly chart. So Tesla daily chart, so this trend line, that's for the prediction for the next week or early next week. So based on this chart, it will still have some more decreasing momentum. So it opened here, closed here, and the target low is about $832. So based on this weekly chart, so this trend line is for the next week. So that means next week, there's from the whole week's point of view, they may still have a little bit of more increasing momentum. So after it dropped to a certain point, a certain support level, it will still have some kind of more temporary rebound or temporary increase. So it's always a kind of fluctuation. So when right now it was closed here at about $863 on the last Friday, and you see this point is relatively very close to this weekly support. The support one blue trend line, so it's about $864. So it may have a temporary increase, but you know, generally early next week is still have a kind of a decreasing momentum. So for this point, it is very likely it may not support that the Tesla price. It may still have a tendency to drop down to $809, and the weekly high is, it will at least goes to this $909. $909 is about this point, on $908 is about this trend line, because it's dropped to this the lower price region. So it's a little bit hard to increase. It will take some more time and may increase it to this one. So the best scenario, it may still go up to this $922. So if you check this monthly chart again, if you go to this monthly chart and you see the last week, it goes to the monthly high at this blue trend line. So it's almost like a ceiling. So that means it will have a strong decreasing momentum. So when it drops to here, then the next target low will be around this point, and that's $815. So that's for the monthly chart. So for that means for this month, it will at least go down to $815. But you know, this is the whole month. This point is likely may not be able to hold that price, so it may not become the final support. So for the whole month, it is very likely may still go down to $678. So it's about $678 is about this range. So that's for the prediction for the whole month. Probability of going down to this range will be relatively small, but it's still have this kind of a tendency go down to this $678 or $673 in the near future, in the next week. So next week it is not expected to go down to this low level, but it's very likely to go down to this $813, and then it will fluctuate in this range. So based on the weekly chart, it may fluctuate in this range. If this yellow trend line will be break, and then it will have a tendency to maybe even fluctuate up a little bit more, but it is likely to stop at $922. The best scenario, good scenario, it may go up to $952. So many people probably will question, why don't you just talk about any kind of news, or good news or bad news, or the company's performance, the financial report, all those kind of things. So right now I'm talking about this kind of trend lines and the target high and the target low. It also have a good prediction accuracy and with some small uncertainty. So I focus on talking about the actual analysis of the Tesla stock price, and also it can be used for any other stocks. So from my point of view, those kind of news, good news or bad news, it will probably doesn't give you very specific guideline or specific information about when you can buy or when you can sell, because that's just the information. If you check my video, Uping video 38, I talk about a little bit more about this kind of general concept about the stock price and the stock market black box. So it's basically a complicated process, and there's a lot of input, lots of information, like the previous historic the stock price, and also the other input, like the good news or bad news, some other people's prediction, and also some of the actual company's financial report and the financial status and the delivery report. All those kind of informations are the input, and also include other people like big investor or individuals investors, their performance, their fear, their kind of strategy. So all this kind of thing will become the input, and the collected will be embedded, incorporated into the whole market, stock market. But all this input, just like a feedback control system in an electrical system. So if you are an electrical engineer, if you have studied the feedback control system, just like, for example, the thermostat in the air conditioner system, so it's based on the on-off controller. So that means if you have a kind of a set point, and if you want to set the set point into a temperature range, for example, temperature range or price range, when it goes to a higher area, and then you will probably have another input and try to compensate for those kind of a higher error input, and then it will send the feedback system to the system, and then it will adjust some input, and then the output will be more fitted to your predicted or the preset temperature range or price range or those type of things. So if it's for example, if the temperature drops down and then drops to a certain level, and then the controller will turn on the heater and then try to increase the temperature. If the temperature is too high and higher than a certain point, and then the controller will turn off the heater, and then the temperature will cool down, and then it will temperature cool down, and then it will drop it to the controlled range, temperature range, based on your on and off controller. It's very similar to this kind of a concept. If you know the stock market, a lot of rich people, okay, their asset, their property are invested in this kind of a stock, a certain stock. For example, they don't want the stock price to drop significantly and or out of control, okay? So even though when it started to dropped to a certain level, some other big investor, they have a lot of funds, a lot of money, they see a lot of good opportunity to take a profit from that dropped the stock price, and then a lot of more funds and the money will be investigated in this kind of a reduced price. Then it will increase the stock price because the demand is higher. So when it increases to a very high price, a certain level, and a lot of people will be be afraid of that kind of too high price or those type of thing, or even those kind of big investor, when they see their purpose is reached, their target price is reached, they will withdraw the money or withdraw the fund, and then the stock price will drop. So it's a kind of on and off controlled process. It's a kind of self-modulated process, okay? So when the price dropped to a certain level, and then this kind of impact or feedback will be put in, and then do some kind of a price adjustment, or when it increases to a much higher level, and then there's some kind of another negative feedback will be put in, and then started to drop the price. So it's a kind of fluctuation that will be kind of from other people's point of view. They said they are more manipulated or something like that, or it's a kind of modulated, self-modulated, and because a lot of people, they have some kind of hidden rules to set the target high or target low, and some big companies, they may have some kind of software to do some automatic trading. So that means they use a computer to do automatic trading. When the stock price dropped to a certain level, they will buy more, and when it increased to a certain level, they will sell more. So it's a kind of a process that can have some kind of hidden target low or target high, or the target resistance or target support. So this kind of Uping stock trend prediction channel, and including several models I have predicted in previous videos. So one major prediction model is the prediction model that can predict the next time frames target high or target low price. So based on, for example, for this kind of trend lines, for the next week, if you use a weekly chart, or for the next day, if you use a daily chart. So that's a prediction for the totally for the future. And if you can see this is automatically generated trend line, so that means it's automatically generated, not manually draw, all those type of things. So it's just use the same algorithm. So when you receive the historic data or the next day's data, and then the day after the next day, that trend line is automatically generated. So if you think this kind of a prediction, so you see all this kind of a prediction is capture this kind of fluctuations of the stock price, captures very well, and you see when it touches this trend line, it started to change the direction, and you see this touches very well. And for many points, it touches very well, and this kind of when it drops down to this trend line, and then it started to rebound a little bit. And even though this is a weekly chart, the previous week, if you check this, it touches this trend lines very well, and for this point, you see, so that means the fluctuation is predicted very well or captured well between a certain trend lines. You see this trend lines also touch it very well. So if you check the monthly chart, that's the same thing. So if this is a monthly chart, and if I zoom it a little bit more, so this is the monthly chart, and you see for each month it also touches very well. So this, you see, this fluctuates exactly between this yellow trend line and this trend line, and it touches here very well, it touches this trend line very well, and you know all these trend lines are automatically generated. So that means when this month is not completed yet, it's already generated the next month's trend line. But the next month's trend line, these trend lines will be finalized after this month is closed. For example, after the last day of this month, then the prediction for the next month is completed. Will not be typically will not be changed. So it will be finalized. For example, for this weekly chart, and because the past week Friday is already closed here, so this is the prediction for the next week. For the next week's target fluctuation range. So if you are interested in this kind of analysis and the prediction, you are welcome to subscribe Uping Stock Prediction channel or watch more videos in YouTube.